We just grew up loving the boosh. We loved it, and we'd act out all the episodes. Like the Crap Fox was a favourite, wasn't it? And then and it was such a big influence on us all, like as a family, that we just thought, let's get it tattooed on us.
Yeah, we all wanted something matching and thought that'll be good.
Yeah. I didn't think today would get a mention of the Crack Fox from Mighty Boosh, but here we are.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast.
Sappenin! You are listening to episode 322 of Sappenin Podcast, featuring myself, Sean Smith, and my good friend Morgan Richards.
Yes, it's me, Morgan Richards, and this week's podcast, it's all about You Festival.
What was that melody from? You must have made a melody up, because I think I know what you were trying to do. But you were nowhere near it. Yes, we are currently in Liverpool at U Festival, an amazing event put on by LMU, the Liverpool Music Academy, Arsenal. The Liverpool Music Academy. I want to say it's Academy. I might be wrong. I've seen LMA everywhere as well over the last 2 days, and I didn't bother finding out what it stood for.
Media Academy.
Oh, Liverpool Media Academy. I was so close. But yes, we've been here chatting to a variety of different people from all walks of life throughout the industry, and not just the music industry. There's the film industry. There's also the social media industry we've been talking to as well.
Yeah, so basically this event is being put on to get people to just have an insight into very different roles within media, whether you're in a band, whether you're looking at stuff behind the scenes, or whether you just want to get involved in a completely different way. So we got approached by a good friend, the Perry brothers from A fame, about going and doing a bunch of live podcasts during their exhibitions in the arena in Liverpool, which is mad to say that we've actually done live podcasts in an arena. And we recorded a bunch of shorter conversations on stage that we could put together for this podcast. So throughout the next hour, you're going to hear us talking to Grace Davies, who's a singer-songwriter, came to fame as the runner-up on X Factor in 2017, but has made a name for herself as a solo artist independently since. We have time with George and Ruby Sear, who are sibling actors, known for their roles in The Victor and The Gentleman, respectively, and just have a bit of a background in just a famous family.
Yes. I met George and Ruby's mother, Juliet, several years ago while working with Jason Perry on another event, and she is a famous baker. She's a bakist. She's very, she can knock a fucking cake up like nobody you've ever seen. She's fantastic. She's a lovely human. And then, yes, George and Ruby, her children are now fantastic, brilliant, doing very well actors. So congratulations to them. I once did extra work in Port Talbot for a program called Will. It's a Shakespeare meets modern day type effort. And while I was in the crowd, a beautiful woman came on stage, and I went, "Oh, she's really attractive," to the guy next to me. And the guy next to me said, "That's a chap." And it turned out to be George Sears. And yes, I told his mother this story, and it turns out she must have told him because he mentions it. So, yes, bit of background there between me and the Sears. I wasn't expecting this chat, but it was a very, very good chat. And Grace Davies has one of the best ways of utilising reality TV that I've ever come across by only playing her own songs on X Factor, which is a fucking great idea.
Yeah, and she's going to tell us exactly why she did it and how she did that. And we also speak to a new band, a very young band. People are making a lot of noise about aspiring punks from the UK who just signed to Marshall Records called the Molotovs. They've just toured with the Sex Pistols and Frank Carter.
Yes.
Frank Carter's Sex Pistols, whatever you want to call them. Has been labelled by Green Day's Billy Joe Armstrong as one of his favourite artists that is coming out. So
Yes, they were absolutely lovely. They are the best dressed people at U-Fest as well.
yes, they were.
She told me that he's 16. Which means he was born in 2009 when an album called The Best in Town by the Blackout came out. Everyone was already born by then. So how dare he pretend to be 16?
You doing the maths on that afterwards was quite the...
It fried my brain.
Yeah, it did,
It fried my brain that
yeah.
he's 16. He looks cool as fuck. His band is super cool. I'm an old man.
But yes, throughout this, it's a different look at creative industries and how to navigate through it. So if you're someone who has always wondered about these things, or someone who is at U-Fest, or is just someone who always wants to learn about the industry, this is a great episode for you. So please share it with your friends or anyone like-minded like that you can think of. Follow us at Sappenin Pod on Instagram to keep updated with all things going on. We've got a couple of announcements to come in the coming weeks. It's my birthday on Sunday as well, so you can send me a birthday shout-out, maybe, I don't know, a gift. And the biggest gift you could really give me and Sean is signing up to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Sappenin. Over there, you keep this thing going each and every week, and there's a whole community of people that get involved, that love each other, that have the best time, fun, memes, all sorts. You can just meet your new best friends through listening to this daft podcast, basically.
Yes. Yes, as you said, give us a follow. Other than that, let's get into this. Sappenin!
Sappenin!
Oh, well, that'll be long.
Sappenin, this is Sappenin Podcast Live. My name is Sean Smith. With me, as always, is my co-host Morgan Richards.
Sappenin!
Sappenin! And today, we are joined by the wonderful. She comes highly recommended. I cannot wait to hear her album. The wonderful Grace Davies. How are you, Sappenin?
Sappenin!
Yes!
Sappenin! Is this
Yes.
on?
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm all right. Is your microphone on?
I don't know. Can you hear me? It's all right,
Oh, we're
thanks.
getting turned up. This is strange.
Yeah, I know.
So-
Still in time.
We are live right now at U Festival in Liverpool.
Yeah.
How are you finding it so far?
Overwhelming. There's a lot going on.
It's
Don't know where to look.
There's very much a lot going on. Just to describe the scene around us, we have a giant piano like the film Big right next to us with people jumping on it.
Yeah, slightly overstimulated.
Very, very overstimulating. And then we've got an acoustic stage opposite us as well, which is going to kick off at some point as well.
Yeah,
But,
mixing with the masters over there. There's
It's all
everything
good.
you could ever dream of.
No business is like show business, really.
So
I think that's what they
true.
said. But how are you doing anyway? Apart from all this chaos, how are you doing your day-to-day life lately? What's been going on?
I'm all right. I've just started releasing songs from my next project, which is exciting. So I'm in release mode, which arguably is my least favorite part of being a musician. But you know, it's good. I'm busy. So booked and busy. We love it.
How has that process been for you getting back into songwriting mode and on this project in particular compared to anything before?
I think for the first time in my career, I've actually been able to spend the time deciding who I want to be as an artist. I think I went through a period of just wanting to release. And so I wrote like 100 songs in a year and then just spent the next like 3-4 years releasing from that batch. So for the first time, I feel like I'm actually, rather than picking songs that I wrote 4 years ago, I'm writing now and how I feel now. And it feels like a new me, which is so cliche, but it's very exciting. And I think people that listen to my music are noticing that as well. But yeah, I'm such a creative. I love being in the studio. This is the first entire project that I've produced by myself. So it's good to be on both sides of performing and behind the scenes of it. But yeah, I'm very excited for it to be out there. It's my first album.
Yeah,
So there you go.
well, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and you talked about I think it's a genius idea of you went on X Factor and only played your own music.
Yeah.
Genius idea. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a huge platform, first off. Particularly when we were all growing up, it was like the TV show to watch. So for me, this was back in 2017. I very much saw this platform where I was like, artists write their own music. They do it every day. And yet you don't see it on this TV show where you're supposed to be someone that's so malleable and can sing rock week and swing week and this and that. And actually artists just have a niche. And often you get criticized on a show like that for, you're just coming on singing the same type of song every week. And I was like, we can change that narrative and have someone come on that writes their own music and knows who they are as an artist. And it's okay for that show not to make you who you are as an artist. So yeah, I saw that kind of gap in the market, if you will, on that show. And it worked. Yeah. It was good.
Was there a lot of pushback as that went on to still do your own music? Because I imagine there's a lot of benefits for them as a show to be like, right, you're covering this artist, or we're going to do like ABBA week or Adele week or something like that. But was that a conversation you always had to have, or were they quite open to like, oh no, we want someone to actually do songs and their own stuff?
They weren't open at first. So I got scouted for the show about 3 years before I went on it. And I kept saying, no, I didn't want to do it. Like it wasn't the route that I wanted to go down. I wanted to be like a proper artist, which is stupid to say because there's so many incredible artists that have come out of that show. But I kept saying no. And then eventually they were like, if you want to sing your own songs, you can. And then I thought, well, that's my meal ticket into it. And it doesn't really matter how far you get, because I wasn't really expecting to get past maybe like first auditions or boot camp or whatever. Just because it was my own music and it hadn't been done before. But yeah, it seemed like a good opportunity for me to just showcase myself as an artist, even if it's only for one round. Just so happened that I came second.
Yeah, who's the panel? Who's the panel?
We had Sharon, Louis.
Sharon!
Exactly.
I can't help it. Every time I hear her name, I get Aussie Tourette's.
Yeah. Sharon, Louis, Nicole, and Simon. So the classics, really.
Yeah. Nice. Second. Wow. Fantastic work. So what's next? We know there's a debut album coming. Yeah. We're not 100% sure when yet or around.
Well, I am, but I'm not allowed to speak about it. It's definitely coming out this year. So obviously off the back of the show, I was signed to Simon's label, Psycho, and then in lockdown, that got shut down. He left the label and Sony shut it down. So I've been independent since 2020, which was really hard and like such a weird adjustment to go from like a major label where you've got people doing everything for you to then suddenly be like, well, I'm on my own now. But it's actually way more validating and you just feel every achievement so much more strongly. Yeah. And so to have like my debut album come out under my own name is very, very exciting. Very expensive.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
How much of a difference was it mentally going through that process, though? Because I'm sure, like, on the surface, just, like, trying to overthink it maybe, that when you hear, like, the label's gone, like, that must be such, like, a step back to, like, a scary point in your life. But then to realize, like, you can go independent and the success you've had off those songs, is it quite, like, a nice juxtaposition? Is it quite nice to have that thought process go through now?
Yeah, I mean, I think particularly because it was during 2020, we all know what happened that year. It felt so much easier to be more productive because we had so much time. So when the label shut during all of that, I was like, look, I can sit here and cry or I can just crack on. And so I was just like, right, I'm going to take every single penny that I have in my bank account and I'm just going to put it into this project and I'm just not going to stop working. And that's exactly what happened. And I've had way more success as an independent artist than I ever had as a signed artist. And then you look at people like Ray, who's just achieved the record for the most amount of Brits in one night as an independent artist. And yes, they've got distributors and they're getting that kind of cash flow from that place, but it's still under that name and you still got to work double the amount of hours as a label by yourself. But it's just, it feels like a much bigger achievement.
Yeah. like you said, it's so much more rewarding when you put your everything into it. You were doing it, so it's not left to a label to sort anything out, or and then you're asking the questions, are the label doing this for me? They say they're doing it. Like, you never know 100%. But if you are doing it yourself, you've got everything covered. Like, I understand and I know it's hard work. But like you said, taking that bet on yourself is going to be so rewarding, especially when the album comes out now. And then you get a number 1, and then you become Queen of England. We can't wait.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So someone once said to me and my manager, no one cares as much as you do. And it is so true. And it's such a harsh reality to hear. But to anyone that is like starting out in this business or is thinking about being an independent artist, it's the most brilliant lesson you'll ever learn, because you cannot just expect that you will get picked up by a label and everyone will do everything for you. It's not how it works anymore, particularly since all of these social media apps where the market is so oversaturated that you can put yourself in front of people in their bedrooms scrolling on their phones. So you have to put the work in. Yeah, it's a lesson learned, but it's rewarding.
Well, there's a lot of people here today who are obviously looking to get into the music industry and looking to get their music out there. Is there any advice you would give them to go maybe start from that independent scene and how they can get their music out there, really?
Put your face everywhere, like annoy people with your face. Nice. I'm about to turn 28. But I started out when I was 16, and me and my dad would post my business card through every wedding venue and every pub. And I went from a little town in Blackburn to Manchester to London and then the world. No, but you've got to really shove yourself out there. And particularly now you have this option too with all of these short form content apps, which we love. It's easier to, but it's a grind.
Yeah.
You just got to go with it.
But yeah, talking about those apps, how do you feel about having to be a director, a producer, a sound engineer, a lighting tech now, an editor,
head
with all
of
these
the
apps?
marketing department? Yeah. It's hell. It's hell out there.
Yeah.
It's really hard because you are expected to do so much by yourself now because you can. But then that's the point where you think, well, if I can do it by myself, why do I want a label?
Yeah.
Yes, they've got the money, but if I can potentially put myself out there for free and have things go viral, and you watch, like Ray, you watch all of these people that have made it happen by themselves, why wouldn't you? And so, yes, these apps can be this overwhelming, looming dark cloud of, I've got to post content today and I've got to make that, I've got to do a cover and I've got to do this, I've got to keep up with trends, but it's vitally important. So yeah, it's hell, but we got to do it, and you got to get used to it. Basically,
I
there's
know.
no way around it.
I'm just a bitter old man who's just like,
It's not the industry. Well, it's not the industry I signed up for,
Yeah,
and
100%.
it's the industry that so many young artists that are just starting out now, they know no different.
That's true.
But to us that have been doing it over 10 years, you're like, what is this place? But it is the new normal, and so you have to either get on board or the ship will leave without you.
That's true. I'm an old man on a ship on my own. That's what's going on here.
I'm about to join you soon. Don't worry.
Well, going back to you saying getting your face out there everywhere, right? And especially those business cards, I got to ask, what's been the weirdest gig you've done off the back of that? Like, was there, like, did you have to do someone's random bar mitzvah or funeral or anything that was a bit awkward?
Oh, that is such a good question. This right here today, no.
This podcast.
Yeah. Talking to you freaks.
No, I've done some weird, awkward events, and I've also performed to 0 people before.
Oh, me too.
Which is like the most soul-destroying thing you could ever do in your life.
I played a gig once, right? The sound guy, he checked us and he went, right, it's 7:00. You're on stage. Go. He walked off, left his dog. I played a gig, 6 people in my band played a gig to a border collie that was just sat there just going, what's this? So yeah, those gigs are, but we always looked at those like as positives, as like, we're getting paid to practice.
Free rehearsal,
Free
right?
rehearsal.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, you've got to go through those moments for it to make sense within the bigger picture. Because you do that and then you sing in Wembley Arena and you're like, well, we got there somehow.
Slightly less dogs at this gig.
Slightly less dogs, more faces.
I wish we'd become the premier band for dogs, to be honest. That would have been good. It'd be a lot easier.
You would have had a good pedigree.
Good.
Moving on. Anyway, moving on. Quick.
Is there any weird venues like that you've done or anything that like comes to mind?
See, annoyingly, on the spot, I can't think of anything, but I know that if I went home, I'd be like, oh my God, I should have said that. But yeah. We've all been there. We've done the dirty work.
Well, yeah. Well, when you come back on the podcast, you can fill us in on your weirdest gig.
There you go.
But as well, like you've talked about earlier, like finding yourself and wanting to realize, like, okay, what songs do I actually want to put out? And I think on that journey, like, you know, when you're releasing songs you wrote 4 years ago, for example, it can be a completely different you, and you're singing about subjects that maybe you don't resonate with, or like you have a new perspective in. So how refreshing is it writing songs in a time period where it's still new and relevant to you, and then getting them out compared to the subject matter being a bit older for yourself?
It's like ridiculously freeing, because I think when I was writing those songs, I was also trying to keep up with trends. What's new? What's in the charts? What is everyone else doing? And you get lost in this cycle of, am I who I've always wanted to be, or am I just copying what's current and what's going to get me a quick win? And so now I've made an album that is completely inspired by my childhood. It's like Roxy music, it's ELO, it's ABBA, it's like all of the songs that Robbie Williams, all of the stuff that I grew up listening to in the car. And I know that I can sleep at night for the rest of my life being like, I made the album of 7-year-old Grace's dreams. Yeah. And I didn't stick to what was current. I just made what felt right to me. And that's incredibly freeing and so exciting to me. And I hope it is to everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it's amazing to see and hear that. Yeah, you don't have to bend a knee to anyone.
Yeah.
So many labels, like myself with my band, we once submitted our album to a label, and they were like, "Yeah, could you get 2 more hit singles? Or just write 2 hit." Do you not think I've just given you 12 songs? Do you not think we tried our best?
I just thought I'd save the hits for another day.
I was just going to leave them and then do B-sides.
But that is the classic line that has been delivered to so many artists by every major label is, oh, yeah, I know you've been writing for 2-3 years, but we just don't think there's the hit there yet. Like, nobody knows. And I think actually every decent person in this industry would hold their hands up and say, we didn't know what we were doing. We just got lucky.
Yep.
And no one actually knows what the formula is. It's just trial and error. So to sit there and say, we don't think you've got a hit yet is bullshit.
Yeah, it is. Very much so.
Yeah. You said about 7-year-old Grace there would be proud of the kind of music you're getting into now. Is there anything you've done over the years that you think that version yourself wouldn't ever be able to comprehend, if it's being meeting one of your idols or just little moments during your career that just you take a moment to think back on and realize, like, wow, that was a big deal for me personally?
Yeah. I mean, obviously doing an arena tour across the whole of the UK is like mental. That's everyone's dream. Last year I wrote the official song for European Athletics Championships, and I went to Rome and sang it there, and it was like televised in every country across Europe.
Wow.
It was wild. Like little things like that where as you're plodding along and you get these emails coming, you think, oh, that's cool. And then you actually have to sit down with yourself for a second and be like, no, that's major. Yeah. So there's definitely been a lot of things that have happened. But I think in this industry, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. And so you're watching all of these people do world tours. I sound like Justin Timberlake, but the world tour.
This is going to ruin the tour. What tour?
But yeah, there's always something more to achieve, but you do have to kind of sit there and go, would I have been really proud of that a year ago? Absolutely. So
I think that's the problem. I think a lot of artists don't take the time to look and sit in the moment and be like, wow, I'm in Rome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, because, me and or everybody I know in music has basically because you live in that moment at the time, you don't have the time to look around. But one of the most important factors I found is taking a little bit of time for yourself just to look around and be like, I can't believe this is going on, and this is amazing.
For me, it came with age, and it came with being humbled by the industry sometimes.
Snap.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you've got to go through the real shit to be like, okay, like, the world is not waiting on me and my music, and like no one cares as much as you do. And so you've got to really like have a little bit of a reality check sometimes and go, okay, the little things matter. And then when you have a big moment like that might not be as big as Dua Lipa's big moment, but it's a big moment for me.
Yeah.
Gotta appreciate it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Grace, thank you so much for taking the time
Thanks for
to
having
talk
me.
to us. And in between all this chaos, can you just let people know anything else you got going on that people can look out for or anything like that?
I just released 2 singles off my album. There's another one coming in a couple of weeks, and then album this summer. So yeah.
Nice. Where can people find you online?
I am It's Grace Davis on TikTok, and I am Grace Davis Official on Instagram. And you'll find everything.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sappenin Podcast!
Sappenin. Yes!
Hey.
Yeah.
We are joined right now here at the podcast area with George and Ruby Sears. How are you both?
Very, very well. Yeah.
Very good, thank you for asking.
Had a good panel this morning.
Nice.
Lots of enthusiasm. Got a coffee. Explored Liverpool.
Nice. What was the panel about?
Screen acting.
Oh.
Yeah. So Rubes and I, both actors.
Yes.
So we were sort of. Oh yeah. So we were. Yeah. It was just about that, really. Yeah. It was just about screen acting. Yeah. In a nutshell.
Second that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you finding U-Fest so far?
Yeah, it's great. We hadn't actually been down here until like 10 minutes ago, but there's a lot going on. Rough trade in the corner as well.
Yes.
Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, really cool. I didn't realise how like big it was when I first walked in. Apparently there's like a fairground and everything. I don't know where they're fitting it all, but
Well, over there.
Over
I
there,
nearly fell over.
I have to check it out.
Over there, there's a big hall.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they've created a world. It's
That's
got
amazing.
clouds and everything. Indoors. Indoor clouds.
Brilliant. I have to go and have a look.
Is it right?
No, but I think they can simulate thunderstorms and stuff, though, and they will.
And they will. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll have to.
we'll all have to have a look at that later.
What's this, AI rain? AI rain, I don't know. No, but when you get to like come to events like this and see a lot of people who are trying to break into different industries, does it take you back to your early days of acting and like trying to work out what is what and find yourselves?
Yeah, it does actually. Rubes and I were just talking about this before, weren't we? Like when it takes us back to being, when we were younger and people we would look up to and sort of want to either like get advice from or chat to. Anything to add?
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of being that age, and I guess it's gone so quickly, like from being, at that point where you're first starting out. Yeah, time just flies, and now I suppose, now we're here, and it's full circle. It's quite interesting being on the other side of it, and people asking you questions. You think, oh, I don't really know if I have much to say on this, but then you end up being like, oh, I guess any advice is like, it makes you reflect and think, oh, I guess, when you're first starting out, I think it's just good to hear from different people about how they get into it. And I think any advice and anything is like useful, and just to, the more people you meet and all that. And everyone has their own path. So it's just all so different, and there's so many different ways of getting into it. So it's just,
Nice.
Yeah. Well, especially you guys come from such a like entertainment household, right? And like the last name of being people that have always been in the spotlight and all that kind of stuff. Like, how was that for you growing up? Did you both know like you wanted to get into acting or be creative or something in that method, or was it just something that kind of fell in?
I was. I think. Do you know what? It wasn't like high pressured. Our parents were never like, you must make it. But I definitely like to sort of show off a little bit and like stand in front of like the TV and try and copy like Mary Poppins and like all the sort of the musical numbers in that. So I just always enjoyed it, and it happened naturally for me. We are quite a creative family, I suppose. Like both our parents are quite creative. But it was never like pushed. It was just always, I think something our dad did really well was like, do what you love. and find what you love. And so he never was like, he knew I wasn't good at maths, so he never was like,
and he was never like, he always said like, don't do something just for the money, like do something you're going to really enjoy. I think that's one thing he'd always say. And I think I never really planned on being an actor. Like you were a bit more like of a natural from a young age. I was always quite into the arts. I always did like characters and stuff, and I actually wanted to be a director.
Make little films.
Yeah, we used to make films. I used to want to direct and produce, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I got into acting, so it happened quite differently for me.
What was the moment that you realised acting could be your...
Do you know what? I watched... I've always really liked that... I'm probably not going to say it right. Like Saoirse Ronan. I've always loved her, and I saw her in... Mary Queen of Scots, and for some reason after coming out of that film, like it was only came out a couple of years, Margot Robbie, I saw that and I thought, I don't know why, it just inspired me to just want to do that. I always wanted to be involved with films, and I knew I would be sort of doing it somehow, but that film made me go, I really want to do that. It was the performance of it, and that made me really, really intrigued by it. And then I was like, right, I'm gonna do it now. And I just decided that night, I was on a walk with Mum, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I just decided I was gonna do it.
Look at you now.
Well,
yeah, but you come from a background where you spent a lot of years writing and producing stuff as well. So how different is that world compared to actually being in front of the camera instead of behind of it?
Well, to be honest, I can't say I've done loads of writing and producing. I was just little bits and bobs as a kid and teenager. I wouldn't say I was like done anything groundbreaking, but it was just more the experience, I guess. I suppose it's kind of all related in a way. I think you can do it all. Like you especially, George, you do a lot of directing and writing, don't you? I think it kind of like falls together quite well. And I think the more you do in that sense, it helps with the other aspects. If you do, directing, you can kind of get a different perspective and do the acting. It just helps. I think everything kind of like comes together in a way, doesn't it? Like it kind of all plays into each other.
Yeah, I definitely think writing in particular is really useful, because it makes you, then when you're approaching it as an actor, when you go back to someone else's script, you can kind of go, I know what they're getting at with that, or I think I know what beat that is, or where this story's going to go. So yeah, it all feeds into one another, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially now when you come to things like this, is there any advice early on you wish you kind of had, or something that you find yourself passing on to people a bit more?
Do you know what? I think, like, if I could talk to my younger self, I would probably just say not to put too much pressure on like a certain outcome, like wanting to be so far down the road that you don't appreciate your accomplishments now, and just realizing that everyone's path's different. So that's probably what I would say.
I think that's the same across the board. I think it's the same with music and everything. Is one of the most important things to do is every now and again sit back, take in what you're involved in, what's going on with you, celebrate what's going on at the time, rather than you get 15 years down the line, you're like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
That was weird, and I didn't realise at the time.
You didn't appreciate it as much, maybe. Yeah, it's so true.
I think one thing I would say to myself is to sort of like have the confidence in yourself and belief in yourself. I think is a big thing. Like, it sounds quite cliche and quite basic, but I think it's helped me, like, just when I'm having a moment of overthinking or like worrying about people, I just think, oh, hang on a minute, I'll just be present, be myself and be authentic, and what's meant to be will be. I think is what I always sort of try to remember, and that helps me as I'm like, when I get wrapped up in it a bit sometimes.
Yeah. Have you guys ever gone for an audition for something and it's turned into a little bit of a nightmare, like something's happened or made you second guess things?
I've definitely gone to some funny auditions that have been so weird, and so I've got some funny stories of they're mainly for like commercials and stuff that I went up for. That you get put in a room and they're like, right, now just do a bit of ballet with no music, and we'll all just watch you and film you. So if you don't mind just doing that, you're like, oh right, okay, yeah, I'll give that a go, and then you do it, and it's like you walk out just like, what?
Didn't you have a commercial where you ended up having to read with one of my friends?
Oh my gosh!
And like pretend to have a romance.
Yeah,
you said something to him though that made me laugh.
Yeah, Grinchy.
You said what did you say? His cardigan was Grinchy or something?
Yeah. I was put in a room. Sometimes you have to do these like auditions with someone else, and you just get put in a room, and sometimes you know those people, so it's funny and it's awkward. And I got put in a room, and I was about maybe 17 with one of his mates, so he was probably a few years he's probably like 22. I was supposed to, we were supposed to have like a bit of a love interest, and they were like, right, just sit next to each other and just have a chat, really. And we were like, okay. And then we were just like, and it's just awkward sometimes when you get in these scenarios. And I think I just said something like, oh, your cardigan's quite grinchy or something like that, and because you do a green fluffy cardigan. That was like, sometimes you just get put in these weird scenarios. Didn't go away. I had one recently. I had to mime playing golf, and I got told that right as I was going in. I've never played golf before, so
mime playing golf.
Yeah, they were like, if you just want to,
did they give you a club?
They did.
Oh, so okay. At least the club.
At least that. No ball. So I just did it. I went for my best swing. I actually hit the wall.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And they were like, it was quite a sort of.
Took a chunk out.
No, I didn't take a chunk out. It was for Range Rover, so they were definitely looking for a sleek sort of woman, and it definitely wasn't me. Kind of makes you laugh though. You can come out and it's funny, and you can kind of laugh at it. And
I like the idea of you just holding it like a baseball bat, going, "Is this right?"
Give me the roll.
And what about you, George? Anything come to mind?
Oh, yeah, there's loads. When I first moved out to America, because I lived there for 6 years, and I sort of live between both places now. When I first moved out there, obviously auditions are they were like a conveyor belt back then, and they were all in person. Like it was before like the pandemic, and so some of those ones were quite atrocious because I had to do an American accent too, and you only learn that by just throwing yourself in the situation and doing it. And I just remember one audition, going in there, starting to read the lines, and blanking. Not knowing, like freezing, not knowing what to say, which, happens sometimes. And then she was like, okay, I think we got it. And I was like, oh, can we, sorry, we're halfway through it. Like, can I start again? No, I think we got it. We got it. And I was like, oh, I just really feel like I could, she was like, okay, just finish the scene. So I just had to sort of pick up where I left off and did it. And everyone can hear you outside too. So you've got this like self-conscious sort of thing. Yeah, so that was probably my worst one in terms of like self-esteem afterwards.
Yeah, I can imagine that messing with your head. While we have you here, there's one question I wanted to ask. I read this online, so it could be completely false, but I heard there's a rumor that you as a family will have matching Mighty Boosh tattoos.
We do. It's true.
Rumors is true.
Mine's the... Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine's I have to get it out now as well. Oh nice. Here's mine.
Oh wow, numbered as well.
Numbered.
Yeah, I'm number 5.
What's the highest number?
One. Dad's got one.
Dad's got one.
Oh yeah, obviously starts at 1. It ends at 5.
1. It's just age order.
It's just nice.
It goes
It's
down,
down in age. Yeah, we all got it together. I don't know why.
We just grew up loving the boosh. We loved it, and we'd act out all the episodes. Like the Crap Fox was a favourite, wasn't it? And then and it was such a big influence on us all, like as a family, that we just thought, let's get a tattooed on us.
We all wanted something matching and thought that'll be good. Yeah.
I didn't think today would get a mention of the Crack Fox from Mighty Boosh, but here we are.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah, unbelievable. But yeah.
Well, there we go. What else do you guys kind of like have going on at the moment? It seems like there's always projects or something you're working on. Is there anything you can tell us so that people know?
To talk about or no?
Might not be allowed to talk about that. I mean, I can't. I've got a few things maybe in the pipeline, but I can't really talk about that yet until it's like I'm allowed.
Yeah.
But I am a painter as well. I'm planning on doing another art show, and that's something else I do as well, which is good to sort of. I think with acting, it's good to do something else as well if you can, if there is something you're into, just because the more the merrier. Really, it all helps with each other and helps you take the pressure off it. So yeah, I do a bit of painting as well, and you do writing. And so you got something coming to me?
Yeah, I've got my first short film that I wrote and directed, which is about Scott Walker. Yeah, it's a slice of life of like Scott Walker when he's like 24, leaving the Walker Brothers. So that's coming out potentially like end of this month or early next month. And other than that, putting out some music.
Ooh.
Yeah. And yeah, just see.
What's the vibe with the music?
It's interesting because
death metal.
Yeah,
it's very death metal.
Well, we got the Marshall amps. We can plug.
Yeah, we'll have a go now.
No, it's kind of like, I guess it's more like alternative rock, elements of folkiness, bit of shoegaze influence too. Yeah, a bit of a mix. Yeah.
Well, when that's up and out, give us a shout and we'll do a full Sappenin podcast about it, because what we do mostly is music.
Amazing.
So yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be very cool.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us and taking the time. It's been lovely to get to know you a little bit more, and enjoy the rest of Youth Festival.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. We are here now. Ooh, that is very loud. I'm sorry about that. I just scared our guests. We are here live right now with the fantastic The Molotovs. How are you guys?
Grand.
Yeah. Yeah, good. How has Youth Festival been for you so far?
It's been good. I don't have much to say about it really. I've just been trying to take it all in. I mean, I've never seen a sort of like a gig venue with so many arcade machines.
Yeah, it's very it's sensory overload if you're not expecting it, I guess.
Yeah,
Everything's a bit sensory overload for him, to be fair, so doesn't take much.
That's fair enough.
you're not supposed to slag anyone off.
But how are things for you guys at the moment? It seems like it's been a really busy time lately, just constantly playing gigs, touring, writing music. Like, can you tell us what's been going on kind of behind the scenes for you guys?
Yeah, well, the sort of last year was like a really big year for us in terms of just gigs and like building our life following. I suppose we had the opportunity to open for a load of great bands like the Sex Pistols and stuff like that.
The Libertines.
So the Libertines again. Which was amazing. So it's sort of a lot of big things like that happens, and then doing our own headline shows. Selling, doing youth benefit gigs, saving sort of like Bush Hall and stuff like that, and I suppose trying to do our bit for grassroots music. It was really a triumphant year for us. We sold, we've definitely gone up a sort of stage. It feels like
Yeah, it feels like 2024 was a year for you guys to really meet a lot of your idols in a lot of ways, but also play with them.
Paul Weller.
Yeah, Paul Weller. You did a gig at Cardiff Castle with Blondie. You mentioned the Sex Pistols tour. I'm sure like a lot of those things were just dreams you never thought you'd get to do, and just have a completely different experience with people you've admired and looked up to, and probably inspired a lot of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Getting to sort of like the only way I can really describe it is like it's like a record collection coming to life. Really, not that they're all my records, but I suppose our dad's record collection. All the people in it just coming to life. It's like Pistols. It's like now we're supporting them. You'd never think of those things to happen, but I suppose we're the band that it always seems to happen too.
Well, how was the Pistols tour in particular?
Amazing. I mean, short-lived. We only did 2 gigs, but no, really good. Really good. I mean, we played one night in Nottingham and one night in Birmingham, and it was just fantastic.
Well, it was nice for them to invite us onto that after, because we did a gig at Bush Hall, and Paul Cook is a local in Shepherd's Bush, and he ended up popping down, and he got on stage with us playing God Save the Queen.
Yeah.
So it was like, nice to see them play it properly, instead of our botched version.
Yeah, but I'm sure these are just things you never thought you would have been able to do just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we never really. I think we had the ambition to be doing things like of this scale, and I suppose even bigger back then. But we had no idea of how to really like actually make it come true, or whatever. I don't know. It was all just sort of an idea, but now we seem to be putting it into practice, and we've got some good people around us who have been able to, show us how to actually move band forward. Because the only thing we know how to do really, we don't know really how to make a record or anything like that. But we just know how to, write songs and play them live and build a live following, and that's what we do best. At the end of the day, we're a live band, and I don't think that's going to change for quite a while either.
Nice. Well, yeah, I was just on a panel at a different section. We were talking about backing tracks versus playing live and stuff like that. And I'm very much anti backing track as well. But was there anything that you learned from playing with those other older bands that you now take with you in everyday gigs?
I think it's mostly because you see these bands that have a history and a reputation for such, electric incendiary performances. And nowadays, obviously they're a bit older, a bit more mature, and they've not got quite that electricity that they once did. But the thing that still stands the test of time and has the longevity of those songs. So it's the importance of of the songs at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how good a live band you are. It's exciting for the times and there's a zeitgeist with it. But down the line, it's like you got to have the songs to back it up.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really want to talk about with you guys is I'm a massive Green Day fan, right? And obviously there's been 2 incidences where Billy Joel has shouted you out on the radio and on stage. I mean, can you talk us through those moments and what actually happened and how he's kind of found you guys, especially?
Well, I think the first time when we saw him at London Stadium about, what is it? Must have been just out of lockdown, 2022 sort of time.
Yeah.
We saw them, and I always thought, well, I'm getting right by the front. I'd like made a sign like every other kid at a Green Day gig does, being like, pull me up on stage, and he just recognised me in the crowd, and I don't know how, but he recognised me in the crowd and just when you're in the Molotovs. But I think Billy Joe has always had his ear to the ground with up and coming bands, and he's always seemed to have like picked good supports. I think, but I think they found it when they were starting out. They found it so, I suppose youth music and like the power and energy of youth so important and vital to their sound, and I suppose everything, the sort of nucleus of Green Day. And I think that they'd almost be hypocrites if they didn't sort of like give that back. So, it's really good to see them like, I suppose, showing their gratitude to new artists. And also I think it stops them from being things of the past as well, and just, aging dinosaurs, because they're not that at all. And they still write good songs, I think, But yeah, and then the other time, I think it was through the pub, the Marquis in London. Shout out the Marquis, I'd like to do, by the way. But it's but we're always there, and always posting about it, always playing there. And obviously Green Day played there and everything like that, going on this pub called the Marquis and all the rest of it.
This is like tiny 60 capacity like boozer in the middle of central London, so no one would expect that Green Day would be there. And we had a gig in Balham the same day, and we kind of caught wind that it was going to happen, and so we were like waiting for it all to be over and running to the stage.
Yeah, we started cutting songs from the set list, being like, right, that one's a bit like we can cut that off. So it's like we got to make valuable Green Day time back up. It's like quick.
And now, if you see like any video of them playing there in the window, you can just see this, bleached peroxide figure in the window jumping about, and that would be Matthew. So
I didn't manage to get in, but
watch through the window, behind Trey Cool's head, and he was wiping the windows because it was so hot in there, so all the condensation you couldn't see outside. Kept on wiping it with the curtains.
Yeah,
so
that was cool as so all the fans outside could see. Yeah,
that's a very cool moment. He's basically giving you airtime by wiping the window down. He's basically like, look, we're friends with this guy.
Exactly.
He's cool.
And we've got we got a drum skin in there, like because they've got Buzzcocks drum skin, Beatles drum skin in there. So we thought we'll give put our drum skin in there. So every single video, it's like a Molotovs drum skin in the background. It's like it couldn't have worked out more perfect. You know what I mean?
Straight after that, we had that Radio X shout out as well, which I think you were talking about, second shout out. So I mean, we're just waiting for the call for the support tour, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna. I think they're just waiting for us to get some music out, which is the next thing. We're looking to be releasing in the next few months, a few times, and then get the album out finally. But we've been at it a while, but we haven't known how to make an album. We're still young in that, so I suppose we have got time on our side in a certain way, but you never know when it's going to be. Got to strike while the iron's hot, and it seems to be burning at the moment. So
So who did you record this album with? Can you say when we expecting it out? Because you've recently signed to Marshall Records, right?
Yeah, we recently signed to Marshall Records just at the beginning of this year, late last year. And
we're just in the recording process at the moment, so we're kind of getting in the studio for the first time and laying some stuff down.
We can't say it's going to be released. I think we'd like to sort of do that our own way, but you will know about it when it is going to get released, Yeah.
How has that process been for you guys, though? Like, behind the scenes writing and kind of preparing mentally for an actual album and everything that comes with it?
I don't think you can really prepare mentally. I mean, as far as we're concerned, this album is basically our live set. It's the best songs we've written after, in the last 4 years, I suppose, of being in this band, all put onto this album. So I suppose you know, it's a snapshot of, you know, the time before we were signed, I suppose. And I don't think you can prepare yourself, but it's going to be like our sort of like our punky record, I think. But I don't know. You make your mind up when you hear it, I suppose. It's not for me to sort of like big it up. Whatever you make of it, you know, don't take it at face value, but just you know.
And obviously here at U Festival, a lot of people are kind of learning about industry things and how they can get involved and the steps they take. With everything you've been through over the last year, is there anything that you would tell people, or maybe your younger selves, that would have really helped, or just something along the way you've learned in that regard?
Really just to be proactive and, you know, take every opportunity you can get. If you haven't got any gigs, go find some, you know, it's something, get on your bike and
be your own promoter.
Yeah, exactly. So like when we started out, because we didn't know venues wanted to book us, we would just take to the streets and busk loads. And if we didn't have any songs, we used to play covers. So we were always playing, and that's how we got to the point where we were getting booked all the time. We've done over 500 gigs now in the last 4 years. So we've just been, you know, kind of going at it and toiling away at it. But it's been such an enjoyable process. But it feels really organic to be where we are now, and it feels, you know, doesn't feel like we just walked into it blindly. It feels like we've earned it in a way. We've done the hard yards. We haven't got there yet.
Well, that's what. Building on Izzy's point, I think that's what I would say to like a starting out band. Just get playing live, you know, because it's a lot less nerve wracking, especially if you're a bit anxious about it. It's a lot less nerve wracking playing someone else's songs, you know, to a room full of people than playing your own songs, because I suppose that feels really close to home. It feels like people are judging you. So do that, build up a following, and then, you know, slowly slip a couple of your songs in there and see how they react, and then, you know, start taking the shit it covers out and put your own songs in. Then, you know, before you know it, you'll have your own set, and then you'll have a load of people, a following, that will listen to you. And then when it comes to making an album, you know, you've actually got people to show it to, because it seems like a lot of people are releasing these days with no goal of what they're going to do with that release. You know, I mean, if they just want to release it and that's just their thing, then that's fine. But I think if you're really serious about being in the band and sort of making it, that's what I'd suggest. You know,
I'm sure busking is one of those things that you learn so much from that, right? Because you can't hide behind anything. You're playing to people who not necessarily care. They're just walking past and getting through their day. There's no hiding. Like, you really learn a lot about your live performances and what you are good at, what you aren't good at, raw in front of people, if they like it or not.
Yeah, it's quite exposing in that way. And I think we had like a shock in our first kind of couple months of performing at a band. So now that anything else we do, it kind of seems like a walk in the park to do, you know, play a big venue to our own fans. It's like those are the easy gigs. But playing something like, for example, today to new people who don't know who we are, and it is exposing because we're doing acoustic stuff. It's like that really moves us forward rather than just, you know.
You've got to win people over, because, like, let's say you're playing to a room full of like all your fans, and you play a bad gig. You know, they go, oh, well, they weren't great tonight, but, you know, we know they can be good. Maybe they've just had a bad night. Where if you play rubbish to a load of people that have never heard you before, they think, well, they're just rubbish all the time, you know.
You got thrown into the deep end very early on.
You've got to win them over, you know, and there is pressure to win them over, because you know, it's what we do, it's our job. Yeah.
And this is obviously a time where a lot of people are going to be discovering the Molotovs for the first time. What is something you hope people take away from the band when they experience these songs or everything you've got coming up?
I don't think they should necessarily have to take away anything, really. As long as they get something out of it, it can vary from person to person. As long as they get something out of it, you know, that it doesn't really matter to me, I don't think.
Like, Matthew, I don't know, I'm speaking as generalisation for your songs, but I think a lot of the stuff you write is about individualism and about, it's a very optimistic outlook on life, in the way of, it's like, you know, as you say, it's like dance to the rhythm of yourself, do your own thing, just find your own path. And so I hope that people take on that message and, you know, really go for what they want to do and what they truly want to do.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been lovely speaking to you and hearing about your experiences, and yeah, excited for everything coming next.
And can I just say congratulations on being the 2 best dressed people here. You win. You've won that.
Thank you, yeah.
But yeah, thank you for everything. And
cheers, man.
Yeah, when the album's out, let's do a full length podcast if we can. I think that'll be fantastic, and we can talk about the release and everything. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice one. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
All the best.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast. Yeah, space. Sorry, I had to go Liverpudlian then. Yes, we have had a fantastic time at U Festival. We've had a great 2 days here. Thank you very much to the Brothers Perry for inviting us, LMA for having us, and U Festival for hosting us. We've had a lovely time. We've met some fantastic people, and what a wonderful interactive event.
Yes, it's my first time ever in Liverpool as well, to be fair.
Oh.
Yeah, I did worry I was going to get beat up at some point because basically for anyone who's ever seen me with a backpack, I have a hat that goes on the backpack just for emergencies. You never know when you might need a hat. But it's a hat of the Manchester United Football Club.
Oh, I remember them.
It's so
from the Premier League when they used to be good in 1994 and now Division 1 bottom of the league challenges.
Yeah, basically. But if anyone doesn't know, them and Liverpool don't really get on.
Yeah. You haven't been stabbed as much as I was expecting. I said expecting, not another word that could have gone there. But yeah.
You were hoping for anything.
No,
That's part
I
of the
was
trip.
hoping for
That's part of the reason you were like, oh, Morgan gets severely injured.
Morgan might get perforated. But no, what a great couple of days. And it was great to see so many old and new friends in the industry as well. I met up with Sean Goulding, the Blackouts old booking agent. I had a good conversation with Ben Ray from Slam Dunk Music for a bit. It was obviously great to see the Perrys. It's always good to see the Perrys. It was good to see Tom Michener, who is a producer and was formerly a member of the Rattlesnakes and the band Haunts. Yeah, it's been a lovely, wonderful time up here.
Yeah, and as you can tell from us doing a live podcast a couple of weeks ago from Tiny Rebel with Gavin Butler of The Blackout, which you can go back and listen to. We're always up for doing just new things, really, and trying something different. This episode isn't something that we normally do. It's kind of in line with when we do just festival episodes, but we quite like doing new and different things every now and again. And as I have hinted about quite a bit, we do have an announcement coming either this or next week about something we're going to be up to as well. That is very exciting, and letting us record even more wildly emo podcasts in the flesh. So keep an update with everything going on with us at Sappenin Pod on Instagram. And if you'd like to support us, keep this thing going. Just let us be able to get to these events so you can listen to wild things like this. Head over to patreon.com/Sappenin. It is honestly the best thing that's ever come out of this. And we appreciate every single person that supports us, that loves us, that embraces each other, and just all the wonderful friendships that have come off the back of it. It's very, very wholesome and incredible to see. As always, Sean's going to give a massive shout out to the elite members of our Patreon. Those are the people occupying the top tiers. And it goes a little something like this.
Just before I start, yes, my parking is going to cost me £54, so I'd just like to... that's bollocks, innit? Been here for 3 days, I haven't moved my car, £54. Anyway, thank you very much to these very special people: Kylie Wheeler, Janelle Caston, Paul Hirschfield, Tony Michael, Scarlett Charlton, Dilly Califragilistic, Ex-Bella Grimwood, Mitch Perry, Nathan Croshaw, Johanna, Molly Mully and James Bowbank, Amy Louise, Kat Besant, Chris Sauer, Jonathan Gutierrez, Amy Hogg, Jenny Robertson, Amy Dawson, Murray Grimwood, Scott Jones, Mayumi, Stuart McNaught, Helen Southfield, Jennifer Dean, John and Emma, Caroline Robertson, Jenny Munster, Louis Cook, Carl Pendlebury, Jason Heredia, James McNaught, Martina McManus, Danny Eaton, Thomas O'Neill, Kalila Keane, Adam King of the Goths, Parslow, Dan Peregrine, Emily Perry, Ollie Amesbury. Josh, I won the most secretive guy award in our office today. I can't tell you how much this award means to me. Chris, Jesus, fuck. Fraser Cummins, Laura Russell, Lavender Lee Martin, Connor Lewins, and last by no means, Kyle, King of the Sloths Smith. Thank you very much to all of those people and everybody who's part of our Patreon. Thank you very much. This has been a very different episode to what we usually do, but it's been very fun all the same, and I'm glad we got to meet some of these people. And hopefully we'll have them back on in the future when they have albums out too.
Yes. And yes, thank you to everyone for listening. We'll be back next Friday and every week with even more special guests and wild conversations. And again, it's my birthday Sunday. So
nice.
Do something for that.
Good luck.
Aye.
Tidy. Sappenin! Right, I need to get out of this hotel room because we're getting kicked out at 12 o'clock and I'm going to go and put my stuff in my car. You're listening to Sappenin Podcast with Sean Smith and Morgan Richards. Thank you very much for downloading this podcast or streaming it, or I don't know what else you do with podcasts. Thank you very much.